Hello and welcome to Two Mutables in a Pod. This is a podcast exploring all things taboo through the lens of spirituality, astrology and bloody life experience. For all of you who are well versed in astrology, this is all the good stuff in the 8th house. My name is Bibi.
My name is Emily.
And we are your hosts.
Hello and welcome to our 10th episode. In today's episode, titled Guessing the Guessing Game and Spotting the Sisterhood in Synastry, we will be looking at a few artists, actors who really put the sisterhood in Synastry, and our analysis will be based off us guessing particular placements where we think the themes of sisterhood, coming together, supporting one another, and being like the cheerleader to another woman come from. So this is our 10th episode, and we just want to say thank you so much to the listeners across the globe who continue to listen to our pod, and we're forever grateful for your support. So before we get into today's discussion, I wanted to start by asking Mimi a question. And today's question is all about sisterhood. And I would love to know what sisterhood feels like to you.
Good question. I think for me, sisterhood is like this knowing of togetherness, like with whoever I feel that sisterhood with. When I think of like people in my life, there's just this knowing that we come together, whether it's for like a certain cause, a certain intention, or a certain goal, but there's just this deep connection where we support one another, we're there for one another, and it doesn't matter like what it is. It's like nothing is off the table, and that to me feels like safety and home is what comes up for me. I guess because like family life can be quite chaotic for me. So for me, family does come within the connections that I choose to make and I choose to maintain and I choose to cultivate. So there's a sense of just feeling safe and just this knowing of I can be at home with my people and be as raw and honest with my people. So yeah, I think that's what it feels like. Home and safety. What about you?
Without thinking about this too much, I feel that I do echo the homely feelings, also coming from a space in which isn't something that I felt in my immediate home environment. So I come and I meet you in that sense in the middle. But I also think it's about uplifting, really being a cheerleader to another and to each other. I think support screams the loudest to me. And when I think about how this feels like, I think it should feel, you can have your moments of difficulties, but I think for the most part, it should just feel like there's a natural supportive energy that's flowing through, not inhibited. And as you journey through life, you're going to have your rough patches, you're going to have your smooth patches, but I feel that the support screams through the strongest for me. It feels supportive. It feels, like you said, at home, but it also feels like a reminder that I'm not alone. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. And I guess it's also like without the expectation or no one's like keeping points or keeping score. Because sometimes relationships can get a bit transactional if they're not the right relationships, or like people holding things against you. And I think sisterhood is so not that from my experience. So yeah, I love that answer.
Thank you for sharing that with us. And on to the spotting the sisterhood in Synastry part of today's discussion. Our first group or pairing of people will be Sza and Keke Palmer. I love watching films. I love watching, visual forms of art. And I remember coming across One of These Days. Is it called One of These Days? Have I got that right?
I don't know. I always confuse it with it's one of these days or one of those days. I don't know.
One of those days. I think it is. One of those. It sounds... It probably is one of those days. Actually, let me just quickly check this. But essentially, I came across this film one of them days, actually. So it's... And this is a film that was co-produced between Issa Rae and Keke Palmer. They had been directing this for years. And as this came up, I was like, "Ooh, Sza? I haven't seen Sza like act or like, in a film, in a movie of such." And I think, I gave it a shot because I love Sza, I like Keke Palmer, and I was just really taken aback by how like the on-screen chemistry felt like sisterhood. Like it felt all the things that we were speaking about. it really mirrored that as I watched it. And I was just in awe. I was like, no, man, there must be something deeper. For them to have this much chemistry on the screen and then it translates to their daily interactions that they have with one another. I began to do a bit of research and I was like, actually, this is something that they also notice, they also pick up on, and they also discuss. So I thought it'd be interesting to discuss that chemistry, discuss that synastry between them, and also look at some of their individual placements. Do what we love best, guess that, and then also look at how their synastry overlays with each other. But I just wanted to find out, so from, what you've come across, whether that's social media, whether that's on YouTube videos, whatever the case it has been, what have you felt and thought about their connection and how they speak about one another?
Yeah, do you know what? I've mostly watched things where they're separate. But today I was looking at one of the shorts and there was just this like two things struck me. One was like this desire for them to collaborate in different forms of media. So they've obviously done the film together, and they were talking about, I think maybe SZA was asked the question about would she like collaborate musically with Keke. I think sometimes we forget Keke can sing. Like Keke is an
Yeah.
all-rounder. Like the girl's got pipes on her. Like she can really sing and she can hold it down. And it was interesting to see that there's such an openness for them to collaborate in the media space, in the music space, like across culture as well, and because they
Hmm.
both have cultural influence, I would say. So I love the fact that there's this openness for them to collaborate in different formats. The second thing that really stood out to me was that I think it was Kiki was mentioning how she was speaking about SZA, and something that she said was almost like SZA just gets like the energetics, or she gets like something spiritual kind of that she referenced. And I thought,
Hmm.
gosh, that's such a beautiful thing for somebody to witness and to see a gift in another woman and to say, like, I love this about that person, and that's the point where our minds meet amongst many other like facets and like reasons. So yeah,
Yes.
there's just there's this playful admiration is what I feel between them, and
Mm.
yeah, there's just such a joy when I feel their energy.
I definitely echo the thoughts around the playful energy. As I was listening
Mm,
to a lot of these press release interviews around this film, I was like, SZA is very ethereal, but then Keke Palmer
yeah,
is really the comedian. Like, I think there was a part where and Kiki has grown up in that limelight, and I think
yeah.
she's maintained that energy around
Mhm,
her. I don't think
mhm,
she's ever changed that about herself. But I think
mm,
it's so funny to see them being goofy. And Sis was like, you give me the best relationship advice. And Kiki was like, not me. Kiki was in character, really being her goofy self. And that's what I mean about the supportive
yeah.
energy. It never felt like, oh my God, why are you doing this, Kiki? Get yourself
Mm,
together. This is embarrassing. It didn't feel that way. And that's why for me, when I think about what sisterhood feels like, I think about somebody who's able to stand by you, be proud of you, but also support, like you mentioned, the various ways in which you might want to show up in the world. And that's what I
yeah.
felt. So, I mean, I feel like since we have looked at scissor before previously, we won't start with looking at scissors in like individual placements, that being the Sun, Moon, Venus, Mercury, Mars, and Lilith first. We'll start off with Keke Palmer, but you know, let's just go right in with the. I want to go in with Mercury because I think
Ooh.
Mercury shines through a lot for her in what she
Oh
does.
yes. This is a babe who's Mercury all over. Like she's so expressive, so she talks with her body. She talks like she
Yeah.
is she's what I would describe as a physical comedian because she uses her body, her environment, the space around her, and yeah, Mrs. Mercury all over, all over.
Oh my gosh. A physical comedian. I don't think I've heard that before.
Oh really?
Oh. That's actually quite interesting how you're mentioning the fact, and she does. Like, I'm just picturing, the little clips that I've seen, and just even, I think there was it on is it the Aquila, the spelling bee film? I think, is
Akila
that,
the Bee.
yeah, Aquila the bee. Like,
Mm.
she was also quite expressive on that, and she was very young then.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, she's been in the limelight for a long time.
For a very long time. But I think that Mercury, it hits with precision as well. It's very witty, but I'm gonna go with Virgo.
Yeah.
Mercury.
Yeah. I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. And the reason why I agree is because she's been in the business for so long. And for me, like, I think being in the business for that long means that there's some sort of strategy that supports her. There's some sort maybe it's not a strategy, maybe it's a system that supports
Hmm.
her. And I think that's more Virgo than Gemini. Even though, to me, on a personal level, if I look at Mercury, for me, Gemini's always come with the wit and the
Hmm.
banter. And I think for me, I experience that more in Gemini energy. But I would say for Keke, her comedic presence is Virgo.
I know this is not like strict black and white, but astrologers worldwide tend to argue, or I guess you can say debate about this, but because Mercury has a split ruler, and Mercury is ruled by both signs, Gemini and Virgo, sorry. Sorry, I was just trying to process what I'm trying to say in my head at the same time and visualize it, so I got that out weird. But it's typically known or said that Gemini tends to embody the more masculine traits of Mercury and then Virgo the more feminine traits. Do you feel that comes through in the ways in which she, communicates, shows up, intellectualizes, the wit, the humor, the quick, and I think when we think about the spelling bee as well, though, even though this isn't about one of them days, it's very quick. Like she had to be quick on the spot in that film. And I think there's something to do with that being quick, flighty, but still being very like girly at the same time. And yeah,
Mm.
I want to say feminine. I think she does embody that.
Mm. It's interesting because I wouldn't have, I don't know, I had to really pause and think about that because from seeing her grow up in the spotlight, I think she's now coming into her sense of femininity. It's like since probably like before she had her child. So I'm not
Yeah,
sure, to be honest. Like I wouldn't have ever thought that she was masculine or
exactly.
feminine or embodied more of those traits. But I see the femininity in her more now.
I mean, in her artistry, I see that. I think I don't know what song it is, but I recall there was one video and it's quite sensual, and that was in her younger days. So
Oh,
I mean, who
interesting.
knows? Yeah, but I definitely think that Mercury and Virgo is is hitting. I mean, Mars. Hmm. I don't know why I'm jumping to say Mars and a fire sign, but
Yeah.
I can't pin down what fire sign. But I don't know what you think about Mars.
See, I'm torn between fire and air
Okay.
for her. Um, Fire because of that natural go-getter spirit. She, from what I remember, has provided for her family from a young age.
Yes.
There's something very obviously action-driven about her, but then air, she's also the creative vision behind what she does.
Okay.
So I'm very
Yes.
torn. But when I was speaking about fire, I thought Aries.
Did you? Okay. So Mars in Aries.
Maybe. Let me think. Do I
Hmm.
believe that to be true?
I do you know Do you know what? I'm going to let you think about whether you believe that to be true because you just sparked something in my mind. You spoke about that, that provider spirit being that one who, came through from the family from a very young age. But I
Yeah.
also think something, I think fire, but I think that mutableness as well is what I'm sensing too. And the
Okay.
ability to, like, I think now in her older age that she's in, even the way that she handles situations, like, okay, yes,
Mm,
things might come to the public light. She understands what it's like to be a public figure, but it still doesn't dial down the things and the many things that she's got going on around her, the doing things that she's got going on around her. So I'm now torn. But I want to go and say Mars in Sagittarius. I feel like
I knew you were going to say that.
I'm leaning towards that. I can't even lie.
Yeah, okay.
She's kind of philosophical in how she speaks. Like, even, the
Yes,
thing
true.
just saying in that interview, that brief clip I saw, she gave me some real hard, good advice about love, relationship, and dating. And I think that that's like the guru sense to her. And she comes across as quite, jokey, comical. But I think within that, you're going to get a good word from her. She's going to give you
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. I think I remember I watched an interview with her, and yeah, she said she's going to perform, she's going to give you a show, but there's going to be a lesson, there's going to be like a story or a takeaway. And I think she's very intentional about that. So I can definitely see why you say Sag.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Are you locking it
Oh,
in?
so are you standing by Mars and Aries?
Yes, go on
Yeah,
then.
cool. I mean, do you know what? The moon. We can't escape the moon. And I think even just outside of Scissor, her being a girl's girl, um, the moon being who it speaks to the emotional nature that we are, who we are at a soul level. But it's also, I would say, the side of us, like I get empathy. I don't know why, as I was speaking, the side that allows us to be empathetic, intuitive to other people's experiences. And I think that's something that a lot of people in the space that she works in, women and both men, quite commonly say about her. And I think, the fact that you mentioned she's been a child star from young, but that's never gotten her head.
Yeah.
Do you know what? You're
Mm.
gonna laugh at this.
No, I bet we're thinking along the same track.
I really feel like the moon, in as much as I want to say it's an earth sign, I know what sign I want to say, and I want to say cat. Yeah, that's what I want
Do
to say.
you? Oh, okay. Okay. Interesting. I'm gonna
I,
flip reverse it because I think she's very fierce and protective about her private life, ordinarily.
mm-hmm.
And I was thinking, okay, I agree with the empathetic. I agree with there's something very nurturing, I think, about her.
Yes.
The advice that she gives to people, the need to bring people up, I think, comes from some sort of emotional base. So I
Okay.
was kind of actually torn between Cancer or Scorpio for her moon.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
which is why I said I was going to flip it and think maybe the Cancer axis is here.
Okay. This is hard.
It is so hard. I'm going to say for her moon, Cancer.
Yeah. Oh, we
Yeah.
actually are on the sister sign, the opposing ends, but cool. So far, yeah, we've gone through the moon, we've gone through Mercury, we've gone through Mars. Let's look at Lilith. Where do you think Lilith sits in her chart? Where do you think, what sign do you think this is in?
Okay. Oh, I need to think. Okay. Sorry, I'm doing process of elimination. I
Yeah,
think there's a bit of do you know what? I'm going to say Virgo.
you're gonna say that.
Am
Okay.
I? Am I? Am I? I think I'm going to say Virgo. Why I say that is because not that not that conservatism is strictly Virgo. I don't think it is.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think there, like I was saying, there's kind of a side to her where she does want to keep certain things separate, like as
Okay.
in her relationships, love, etc. But then there's also this ability to use that experience within her art or craft. And I think that Lilith can be a source of inspiration at times.
Okay. Okay.
And I
Mm-hmm.
initially I was like, would it be Gemini? No, because I think Lilith in Gemini is more, what's the word? Experimental, or open or curious in
Mhm.
terms of like, yeah, just being experimental. So yeah, I'm gonna say Virgo in Lilith.
I think it's very interesting that you said Virgo. And
Mm,
when you speak about this in her art as well, I was taken back to like stuff that came out in the more recent years and perhaps how she's handled those affairs. And you know how we spoke about in episode 6 that sometimes Lilith is a thing that, we try to keep under wraps, but
yeah.
verily it's gonna shine through. And I'm just, I want to say Libra, you know. I
Libra.
want, yes,
Interesting. Okay.
I want to say Libra because I think about people who possess or yield influential status and are like highly connected. And I come from it in that angle that even in her connections with other women, which I think Libra, you know, is a Venetian sign, it does rule, I want to say, our diplomacy around things, our diplomacy around affairs, how we conduct our affairs, how we really build rapport and relationships with others. And I see the Virgo in how she handles her like private affairs coming into the public. But then I'm taken back by this point here. And I think her interactions with others, balancing the scales of
Yeah.
justice. I see Lilith and Libra here.
Okay. I see it. Yeah. I remember you saying this about Libra and Lilith and like wealth status. I remember you saying this. So yeah, I can understand that.
Like when I say androgynous, I also think that that switch in the ability, even if she is experimenting with style, it's always going to be, I don't want to say precision to the T, but it's never going to be a bad day, baby. Like you can see that she does not play with her image, how she shows up in the world. So, because we have already looked at Scissor's chart in episode 6, which is all about, Martian, Plutonic, and Venusian, public figures and the scrutiny and, I guess you can say public love or dislike that they get. So we won't go into her individual placements. If you'd like to hear that, you can always go back to that episode. But we will kind of now focus on how these two energies synergize, meet in the middle, where that chemistry that they speak about quite oftenly in their press releases, in how they speak about each other, and we see the genuine fondness of one another. And like Mimi said, Synastry, no, Sisterhood, sorry. All these S's are, confusing me. Sisterhood really centers on what feels at home, what makes one feel at home. And I emphasize the point of what feels supportive, what comes and doesn't feel like it's an obligation, but feels that it's coming from a genuine place of I want to see you do the best that you can do. So perhaps we are now going to look at, both of these charts from that lens and see where they meet in the middle, where both of these stars in their own respective lanes. So automatically, I'm not gonna lie, I'm taken aback by that Cancer rising. I really,
Oh, interesting.
yeah. Hmm.
I thought it was her moon, it's her rising.
Yeah,
Okay. That is interesting. That's surprising.
very surprising. I was like, "Ooh, okay." I mean, cardinal energy on the rising, like, I mean, it definitely makes sense why you said some of the things that you said, though, and I can see, taking care of the family, being that person
Yeah,
that has
yeah.
responsibility. Yes, definitely makes sense. I mean, damn, I was so close. I had Cat Moon under my wing, and she's a 26-degree Sag Moon.
Very close.
Not too far off. But I mean, what surprises you about her Mars placement? Mars and Libra.
Yeah, Mars and Libra, and I said Aries,
Oh,
you said
Sag.
Sag, yeah. And it's so funny because I thought air, but I disregarded it because I just thought there's no way with how focused and action orientated, that Mars isn't at home with Aries there.
Hmm.
So to see the Libra energy, but also it kind of makes sense because there is something that big sisterly vibe also can feel quite mediator energy and that bringing people together energy. So that would
Yeah,
fit for Mars and Libra actually.
and being that champion, should I say, of,
Yeah,
like you said, yes. And I think she really, it gives mediator vibes. Did you say
it
that?
does. I
You
did.
did.
I did.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, but it's funny that you got the sister side to that though. So,
That's true. That's true. And her Lilith is in Pisces,
very different.
right?
Very
I'm trying to
different.
I'm trying to feel like what a Lilith in Pisces would be like. Hmm.
Do you know what comes? Do you know what came to mind just right now?
Yeah, go on.
Lana Del Rey. Like when you said what a Lilith and Pisces would,
Mm,
yeah.
okay. But it's also very much giving like burned in like being scorched in relationships. But obviously it's not a fire sign, but just like yeah, being drowned by partnerships and connections.
And do you know what though? Now that you said that, and you know how we spoke about Lilith being that thing that when it hits the public limelight, and I think even when I think about the Cherry situation with Usher, that then led to the spiraling with the partner, and all the unraveling that came from that does kind of tie into what you just said. Lilith in Pisces, that took me by surprise.
Did we get any right?
Yeah, we got her Mercury. Yeah, we did. We
Did
got one
we?
right.
I'm trying to
Mercury
like
is
scroll.
in. No, if I'm not right, it's literally on the 0 degrees in Virgo.
Okay, props to us for
So,
getting
yeah,
Mercury.
we got one right. I mean, so I had Moon and Cap. I'm so sad. I really wish I just a few more degrees, Kiki. Why couldn't you give me that? Mercury in Virgo, Mars in Sag was wrong. But it's funny that her North Node is in Sag. Interesting. So we've got Lilith is in Pisces, and her rising. Yeah, I mean, damn. I think you were closer though. You kind of picked up more cardinal energy than I did.
Yeah. I was just looking at her part fortune being in
Hmm.
Aries, and I
Hmm.
think that, and being in the same house as her midheaven, that, yeah, it makes sense for her because she is quite entrepreneurial. She is like she's got companies and things to like build people up in the media space. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I was just going to ask you something you asked me.
No, 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 no. Go ask me, ask me, ask away.
I don't know if you answered it already though. I can't remember. Did you, is there anything that surprises you about her chart?
I can't. The cardinal energy, like, is what's
Okay.
taking. Yeah, the cardinal energy. I would 100% say Jupiter and Libra. I can't thinking back to people like Drake, people like, I mean, did Sexy Red have Lilith? I think it was Lilith. I'm not too sure if it was Jupiter, but like, I'm starting to see like a trending pattern that people who are in the acquaintance circles of life, like people who are in the higher echelons, they tend to have these particular Libra placements that like signify this is not always like the do's and the I don't want to say it's like your golden ticket to being in the limelight, but it's having a way with certain circles, being able to navigate, your way. And that's the kind of energy I was picking up with Lilith. But quite honestly, the Mars and Jupiter being in Libra
Mm.
is probably the energy that I was picking up, but I just didn't know that was the placement. So yeah, very interesting. But I think that's really it for me on that.
Just like notice as well, her rising sign is quite close to her Venus, although both in Cancer. I wonder if that was what I was feeling with the
Yeah.
Venusian.
Yeah, it generally, because that would be close conjunction, isn't it? So Scissor's North Node conjunct Kiki's Saturn in Aquarius. It could explain why you felt that she was the older one, like in terms of the energy of being that guider and that mentor. Because in the interview, like the one thing that keeps coming back to me was the very fact that, she was talking about how wise Keke is. I can
Yeah.
that to perhaps some of her Sag placements and, her Libra placements, but I think that North Node conjunct Saturn, like you said with the conjunction, it is that 0 degrees aspect. Like it's very close. It can go either or way.
True.
And I think while Saturn typically is known to be a malefic, and the North Node is the karmic points of destiny, I think they were always predestined to meet and work together. But I think it solidified the ways in which they, like you mentioned, they want to explore the different ways they can come together and, produce art. And if you think about it, Aquarius is, I don't want to say it's like the otherly people coming together to champion art that hasn't been seen before in the ways that we know it. And as we've
Mm,
spoken about in episode 6, Scissor's art is quite otherly. And I
mm,
think even Keke, she in her music, I don't think it's like your stereotypical, R&B. It goes from like being pop. She can do a whole load of things in different ways. Like you said, she's very versatile. So I think, and with, like you mentioned, her being a child star, being in that limelight for all of these years, is almost being that guiding, or that person who provides guidance to SZA, who
yeah.
did mention in her interview, she came in, it's her first gig. She's still an amateur in her eyes, and people shouldn't
Mm,
judge her to a high standard. But I can see how these paths are like supportive energies that are guiding the path of sisterhood here.
definitely. And like what you were saying about it kind of feeling predestined, you've
Hmm.
also got Scissor's vertex conjuncting Keke's sun. So it's almost like, again, that feels like it was almost inevitable that the paths of their life would change from the
Hmm.
moment that they would kind of find each other in each other's spaces, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does make sense. And I
And it
think,
being Virgo as well, so it would have been some sort of mercurial ruled thing, media.
yes,
Mm.
you're onto the money there. And as you're speaking, no, that makes a lot of sense. And Kiki's Venus and Caps trining that sun, I think, but then conjuncting the moon, it makes sense why they often speak about synergy, like why this chemistry was so strong. And I think SZA even mentioned like they both looked at, like, I don't know if they looked at a birth chart. I am pretty sure they would have looked at something metaphysical to explain why their connection and their chemistry is so strong. But I remember them
Okay.
saying like it just was something that wowed the both of them.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And that conjunction between Venus to the moon, I do think Venus again deals with, the beliefs, the ideals, the things that we stand up for, self-esteem, and linking that back to sisterhood. Sometimes you will have those conversations that uplift you. Sometimes you have conversations about, your self-worth, how to,
Mm,
navigate particular situations, whether that's love, standing up for yourself, advocating for yourself. And these were things that were mirrored in the conversations that, hopefully we'll be
mm,
able to share some of the clips that we came across, touch with, or helps. I shall get around to doing that. But then it'll be easy for you to also, like, as our listeners, understand where we're coming from when we speak about the chemistry that they often refer to. But I don't know what you think about that.
yeah, I mean, I was kind of like, for some reason, SZA and like her, I don't want to say lack, but how much she's kept herself away from the media is just like really present in my mind, and up until
Hmm.
this moment, and up until like interacting and having this beautiful synergy, as you said, with Keke.
Hmm.
And I'm like, there must be something that's activated for her to feel again that safety, that place of home, and that actually now is a moment where I can do this and I want to do this. Obviously it's different when you have filmed, you're kind of expected to do press tours and all of that stuff, but there is something I feel that must indicate what made her feel safe. And I was literally just staring at her chiron. Yeah, I was just staring at her chiron because it sits in Kiki's first house. although it doesn't make.
Let me have a look. Sorry, I'm
My brain
following
cells
what.
were trying to figure it out. That's why I went silent.
So Scissors Chiron, okay, in Cancer. I mean, it's also where Kiki's ascendant is home, like, the area where she's got Jupiter and Chiron. Chiron reverse. I've never seen Chiron in reverse before.
You
Chiron
haven't?
retrograde. No, not in the birth chart. No,
No?
no, I
I'm
actually
trying to think. Do I
haven't.
have that?
I don't know.
I do. My
You've
Chiron's
got Chiron
retrograde.
retrograde, really?
Yeah,
Oh my,
yeah.
oh my gosh.
You didn't know that?
No,
Yeah,
I
my
thought your
Chiron's
Chiron stayed
retrograde.
in direct. Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. And I think, because I kept wondering why on the Sherry show, when I watched the longer format of this, her press talk about one of them days, like even Sherry was just like, no, like even though this is your big debut, you have been that girl, you've been doing your thing,
Yeah.
you're artistically gifted, but there was always almost this like having to justify why, guys, don't judge me. This is my first time. And when you're talking about Chiron, but then Kiki's ascendant is in that first house, in the sixth house, the house of work, daily habits, things that we do. It is also the house of karma to some extent. And karma can go either ways. And I think perhaps that ascendant being that house was to be that guided path of how she shows up in the world. Like you mentioned, she hadn't been doing press releases, she hadn't been showing up in the public spaces. The crab can withdraw inwards, and Cancer quite often is synonymous with the crab. And I think that there's this outer shell, the exterior, but within, there is a lot for her to give, as we've seen. She's multifaceted. But yeah, I think that, do you know what? When you said that, I was like,
I think this is also why I thought maybe Kiki was older than SZA, because it feels like I don't know, like there is a more nurturing or maternal spirit towards her in a way, even though they're very playful and you can tell that they're peers. I don't know, I felt that there's some sort of like coaching and guiding, as you said, within that
yes.
dynamic.
And echoing on from what you've mentioned here, Venus's blessings is coming to the sixth house. I see that, Kiki, her Venus kind of squares, if I'm not wrong, yeah, it looks like a square to Scissor's Mars, if I'm not wrong. But I think the fact that Venus is in that sixth house and the ascendant is in that house, I think Venus is in some shape or form bringing around positive retribution, and hence why she's able to reap rewards from their partnership and coming together. But I want, how you mentioned the point, like what actually facilitated, what energy around their connection enabled Scissor to come forth and actually do some press reviews and be so open with the public. I've seen that Pisces moon square Kiki's North Node in Sag. And I think, the square, although it gets the bad rap as being like it's hard, and again, trust me, when you have squares in your chart, you understand. But I think it's also the middle ground where you're pushed out of the comfort zone. And that's how
That's
I
true.
view the square. And
That's
that could
true.
also play into the role as to why this connection provided the supportive energy, like the push that felt uncomfortable but was much necessary and needed.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, it's so funny as you were saying Pisces moon. I was literally just looking at her Pisces moon.
Who are familiar with the Afrobeat scene, you might have come across Iris Star, you might have come across Thames. They've collaborated with the likes of Wizkid. They're doing big things in the Afrobeat scene and the space as women, championing their own lanes. And I thought, you know what? I mean, I kind of gave this away in the conversation with Mimi, but being a Gemini sun, I do really root for my fellow Gemini suns out there. And I've always been in awe at how they really come together on social media. I don't know them in a personal way, but from their posts, their shared interactions, how they act together, how they, support one another. I've always been in awe that, wow, this gives big sister and little sister vibes. And I've always been like, I'm rooting for this because they both come from similar backgrounds or areas of the world, West Africa. doing similar things, it'd be quite easy for there to be competition. Labels pit people against each other and put people, up to beef and all that other stuff that that goes on in the pop world. But I find it very interesting that there's this bond of sisterhood. There's a big sister looking out for a little sister, and I wanted us to explore that in this discussion, in this guessing game, spotting the sisterhood in Synastry. So without further ado, I think we could start on guessing the placements of Thames first and looking at, the Moon, Venus, Mercury, Mars, and Lilith rising if we get there, and then switch that in the reverse as well to Irish Star. But before I begin with this and go into a bit more detail, I don't know what you think about the little sister, big sister relationship as a whole. Like, outside of these two, just thinking about media space, the entertainment space, should I say, is that something that we come across quite often?
I think so, because it's funny because when you said big sister, little sister in relation to Thames and Iris, I was like, oh, we literally just spoke about that with Scissor and Keke Palmer. So I
Mm-hmm.
think it is a common thing. And actually, when I think about it, the word mentorship comes to mind, and it's almost
Mm-hmm.
like I know this golden path. Let me show you the golden path. And not everyone does that. Not everyone, has the ability to guide people in that way. But I do think it's quite common.
Because we kind of know their sun signs already, we can skip that. Well, I ruined that
Mhm.
part for you, sorry. But I guess we can start with Thames and we can look at her moon sign. Do you know what? I'm drawn to what you said initially about the Cancer energy you picked up.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I want to know more about that.
Do you know what? I think the Cancer energy may be. I don't know. Actually, okay. I am torn. I'm going to bring the moon and the rising sign here. I'm torn between Cancer being in either the moon or the rising. I do also feel Sag energy within her. And why I say Sag for Thames, I don't know whether I'm saying rising or moon just yet, but I want to explain myself. She's. This could also be what you're saying about Libra. Okay, let me follow my train of thought. She's done her fair share of collaborations with people internationally,
Mm-hmm.
and that to me feels very expansive. It feels quite Jupiter. It feels Sag. It feels like a traveler kind of energy. And again, I don't know whether I'm perceiving her energy correctly. Whilst there's a modesty about her, I do think there's a very cheeky, playful side to her. I'm going to say Moon and Sag. I'm landing there.
I honestly, I was just thinking, like, as you were speaking, I was being taken back to her body shape. Sag, Jupiter, rules them hips, them thighs. She has the
Yep.
thighs, she's got the buttocks, like,
Yep.
it's
Yep.
there.
Yep. Yep. That's why I
And
hesitated.
I can't even, I'm going to be a copycat. I feel like I want to say the same thing, baby girl. I don't want to be left behind. Um, but no, in all honesty, if I could even say Jupiter and Sag, to be honest, I'm going to I'll say Jupiter and Sag. But the Sag energy that you're speaking about, eh, let me not get left behind. I think I need to go with the moon too. No.
Okay. So we're both Moon and Sag.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Fab.
What do we say about, I mean, Venus? You know what? There is this, you spoke about the cheekiness, the playful side. And I think we're starting, like, I came across some clips, this is just of her individually, where in some of her performance more recently, she's serenading fans, she's singing to
Okay.
them. And I'm like, okay, girl,
Okay.
you're showing us the alternative side to you. And I'm torn. Do I say Venus in Taurus? I really want to say Gemini, but I'm torn between Taurus and Cancer.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay.
And the reason why I say Cancer, because she is loved internationally. I think, that collaboration with Future put her onto the map. Like, I think with, what's the song called? Oh my gosh. I'll Wait for You. Yeah. I remember like it was big in the African Afrobeat scene, but once it touched the US market, like there was a Thames Army. I think there's even I think that's actually what her supporters are called, the Thames Army. So, and I think about cancers and popularity. They are loved quite dearly and deeply. Like it's
That's true.
go hard or go home vibes. And I see that with 50 Cent. He's got those people that go hard for him and they go home. So but then the music, being able to use the voice, um, even how she speaks is quite husky. I'm torn. I'm torn between Venus in Taurus, Gemini, but I'm gonna go between. I really want to say Taurus because of how husky she sounds, but
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Venus in Cancer.
Okay. I'm also torn between Taurus and Cancer. Not Gemini for me, for
Yeah.
Venus. For me, it's Taurus and Cancer. Cancer, I don't know what, I just feel Cancer in her energy. I can't pinpoint it, but I can just feel it. Taurus, I think there is something, again, very Venusian about her. The way that she looks, but her eyes as well. There's something very this is going to talk me into Cancer now. I was going to say there's something very like doe like with her eyes, very almost quite sleepy, which is quite seductive, I think. But I would
Okay.
associate that more with Cancer for some reason. This is hard when you're on the spotlight. I'm going to agree with you and say Cancer. I am going to agree with you. We're either both right or both wrong.
Do you know what? As you were speaking, I was like, I see what you're saying here but do you know what? If I'm going to attribute any kind of like Taurus trait now, I think I'm going to hit that with the Mercury placement. But with what you were saying about the eyes, I really, you
Mm,
see the sensuality, like you see
mm-hmm.
I want to say the seduction. I think that's what you said. The seduction, the alluringness that comes with her eyes. And in a lot of her pictures, her makeup is quite minimal, but it's
Yes,
like the eyes
yes,
become the focus.
yeah, yeah. And I think, I don't know whether I'm right to say this because I don't know much about her or her public image, but the sense I get is that it's almost like her sensual appearance. I think that she's maybe been unaware for most of her life that she has this ability to captivate people. I don't think it's been, yeah, this is me and this is like, I'm going to show these features off, which is why maybe I'm more leaning to Cancer because there's more of, not, again, not conservatism, but more of a discreetness perhaps with that Venusian
Mm,
expression. So yeah, I'm going to say Cancer.
Cancer. Tough choices, people. Very tough choices. But I love how you defended yourself and defended your point. So, I mean, we can move on to Mercury. So we've done the moon, we've done Venus, Mercury. Do you know what? I initially heard her speak more on her album than I heard her speak on social platforms.
Interesting.
Um, yes, interesting. However, the first thing I remember her doing as a press thing was with like Paul Radio, where she was
Okay.
explaining like the origins of her story, her roots, the underdog story. And I do think she uses the artistry that she embodies to share like messages and convey those messages. And that's why I'm like, I can sense Mercury's influence, but it's not as strong for me. And I think I want to stay with Mercury and Taurus.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm basing this on the only one interview I've ever seen this woman do, and the only one time I've ever seen this woman speak, because, like I said, I don't know much about her.
Hmm.
And it was the chicken shop interview that she did with Amelia. I'm not going to butcher her last name, so I'm not going to say it. But yeah. And I was taken by, as in, I was like shocked that she was actually quite funny. And there was something
Mhm.
very dry about her humor. Very,
Okay.
very, very very intelligent with her, that quick wit. That to me says Gemini.
I
So I'm
mean,
going
do
to
you
say
know what?
Gemini.
You most likely are onto the money there, because I was thinking of this, the science behind your Mercury sign, but typically it's either your sign, the sign before, or the sign ahead of your sun sign. So
Yeah,
the science is there. So,
yeah.
girl, if you're onto the money, share the money with me afterwards, because I support you. Cool. So let's look at, we've got Mars, Lilith, and we can decide if we want to do the rising towards the end. Mars. Mars, Mars, Mars.
Hmm. Where do we go from here? Mars. I, I, yeah, I'm not sure about this one.
I mean, okay, when I think about Mars and outside of, the sex drive aspect that we typically see on socials, I was saying to Mimi today, like today has been a very Martian day for me. And I really associate Mars with action, the
Yeah,
perseverance, the drive,
yeah.
the, I think you worded it quite well. I think it was in episode 2 about like how you would describe Mars. I can't for the life of me remember it. It's in understanding the basics, but the way you spoke about the action behind Mars, I still resonate with some of the things that you said there. And I can't lie, I've been missing out on the cardinals on people's charts. So I want, for the sake, I'm cheating here. There is an energy around her that's like, you don't mess with her.
For real.
Of her like behind the scenes process. But I wanna say something cardinal, but you might have to come back to me on that, because I'm picking my luck here. But I don't know if you thought about.
You know what? When you were talking, the
Mhm,
word trailblazer kept coming to mind for Thames. Now, I'm not saying she's doing anything new as such, but there is something in her energy that I feel like she sees something she wants, she's going to get it.
mhm,
I feel like there's a very strong Mars energy here, or somewhere else
mhm.
within her chart. I don't know. I, this is going to be a complete guess, though. No, I was going to say something and then I've changed my mind. Okay, I'm going to stick with what was my initial one, and this is a very much a wild card energy, and I don't think I'm going to be able to explain it, but I'm going to say Mars in Aquarius. I don't even think it's possible, but I'm just going to throw that out there.
That's very different.
Yeah,
Very
I know.
different. Yeah.
It was the first one that came up, and I was like, no, I'm just going to stick here.
But trailblazer is also quite synonymous with the energy that comes with Aquarius is taking a risk, betting on themselves, stepping out. Because if you think about it, Nigeria, everyone is a hustler. Everyone's trying
Mhm.
to make it.
Mhm.
The energy to persevere and be a
Yes.
trailblazer, I can
Yeah.
understand why you said the point that you said here. I mean,
Yeah.
to not make this long, cardinal, cardinal, cardinal. I I'm lost on this, I don't want to even guess randomly. I'm so lost. I can't even lie to you. I can't pin it. I really can't pin it. So I'm gonna put blank for this one. It's
Are
gonna be a blank.
you?
It's a
We've not
blank.
discussed if that's within the rules. Okay, okay. Do you know what? Fair, fair.
We need a call a friend option, because I think for moments like this, yeah, I don't want to even just guess. And I think I
Okay.
can't even piece it up, because I feel like I don't know about that. Like I'm struggling to see that and visualize it. And I think that's hard. That's why I'm struggling with this answer. Um,
That's okay.
maybe something
Keep
will
it
come back
blank.
to me afterwards. Yeah, let's leave it blank for now. Lilith.
Mm.
mean, do you know what? I can think about Lilith. When I think about Lilith, I think about some of the song lyrics that she sings about. It's not that I've necessarily seen her say these things. However, in saying that, in some of her performances that I've seen on like YouTube, or she's like in a live performance,
Mm.
she will give advice. She will say certain things,
Okay.
championing. There we go. The betterment and the advancement of women. She often talks about how, oh my God, now this is coming to me. So she talks about how in the beginning, in the earlier stages of her career, she used to dress in quite baggy clothes,
Oh
so that
yeah.
she wouldn't be sexualized by producers. And so she can
Mm.
literally go there and produce art. She talks about,
Mm.
the fact that you shouldn't touch my body, don't feel comfortable. I think this was the performance she had with WizKid on the stage, where it was like, no, no, there's a boundary. Don't touch my body, don't touch my hips, don't touch my bum. Like,
Mm.
and I think I'm not gonna lie, when I piece the lyrics together, I will, and I feel like I'm leaning to more like I want to say don't fuck with my energy vibes, like, and that's why I say when I think about Thames, I think about somebody who is not to be messed with. She might be quiet or reserved on the outside, on the
Yeah.
exterior, but inside there's a fire within. And I don't know,
Mm.
maybe I must say Lilith in I'm gonna stand and say Lilith in Aries, maybe,
Mm.
I mean, Aries to me is the protector. It's the initiator. It's the first zodiac sign of the zodiac wheel. But I think that they do defend that which they're passionate about.
Yeah.
But it's never. I don't think with these natives, it's like the first immediate reaction. I think they are able to reserve these boiling hot emotions that might simmer within, and then you get the lava that comes out from the interactions
Mm.
of the I've had anyway. I don't think it's always quick to anger on the first instance for them. So I think Lilith and Aries.
I
I'm a
like that
defender.
rationale.
Of,
I like that rationale. I really, yeah, I like that.
yeah, literally, as I was speaking to you and as you were responding, it was like I'm going to defend myself before you even get to defend me. If I'm going to be the protector, but then I also I don't know. Like let me just say Lilith and Aries and shut up. Lilith and Aries. There we go. Yourself. What do you think?
When you were talking, I
Mm-hmm.
was thinking of that Cancer Cap axis, but more the Capricorn side. So, because I think it's the old boundaries and association of Capricorn or Saturn being very boundaried. And whilst it's of the physical body, I totally see the Aries line of thinking, but I'm gonna say Capricorn.
Okay, cool. Rising sign. Let's make this one. Let's make this one quick. I mean, I wouldn't know from the top of my head. Um,
Yeah,
but when you spoke about sensuality and the eyes, the physical appearance which rules, you know, the outer body, the physiques, the physical qualities and traits that we have.
yeah,
I think about that. And the Scorpio, the seventh, the deepness though, the part that you spoke about the eyes and being the window of the soul. And I
yeah,
think not many people see the depths of the seventh house Scorpio side, which, I always say the descendant is who we truly are. And I think it's taken time for her to let those barriers and walls come down for us
right.
to see the alluringness between the scales of, you know, Venus and Pluto meeting together, meeting in the middle. So I might say Taurus rising here.
Oh, friend, I'm gonna say the opposite. I'm gonna say the sister sign and say Scorpio rising.
Scorpio, right? Do you know what? You're probably
Yeah.
right. I'm bored. I'm going to be
No,
fucking bored.
I don't think so. But yeah, it's again, I can't add more to that, but because you've said it, but I'm just feeling it in the opposite.
Opposite in
Do you
the
know what I
reverse.
mean?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that scorpionic, yeah, that scorpionic energy within the eyes, like you said, but also there's a layer of privacy and protection I feel around her. So yeah, I'm gonna say Scorpio rising.
You know what? Would I be wrong to say Mars in a water sign? Like,
Do you
how
know
some
what? Do you know what? Mm,
I
mm,
don't know what water sign.
mm.
I feel like I wanna say like it could be cat. It generally could be all three of them. And it obviously, I wish we could embody all three, but in reality, that's not the case. But I do believe that I'm going to say water sign. That's what I don't really have a specific one to give, but I feel something of all three of them. But yeah, let's move on to Ira Star. Ira Star. I mean, this is. Do you know what? I can't say that we've ever looked at Thames, but this feels like very foreign territory as well. But I'm going to give it a shot. Um, based off, I want to say the little, but I know more of her musical body of art or work,
Mm,
sorry, than I know of
mm.
her as a person. But I will say though, I will say she's got more of a mercurial presence. Like when I think about people who
Okay.
like to show up online, I do believe that there has to be some sort of influence with Mercury somewhere, even if it's not in the, in its domicile, which basically means in its home placement. I think, sorry, home signs. I do think Mercury shows up. She's the collaborator. She's active on socials. You're going to find her on an array of social media platforms. She does a lot of storytelling through her artwork as well, through the music videos. The music videos are never just music videos, actually. The gift of storytelling I see a lot in her, in the work that she does. Yeah.
The only thing that I can, just from what you were saying actually, when you were saying about she's on multiple platforms,
Hmm.
and there's something about the storytelling that you were saying through her platforms, but also I think you mentioned her videos, music videos.
Yes.
Whilst I don't know her artistry, something to me was saying Leo rising, being on the multiple platforms, and this kind of like,
Mm,
I don't know, there was just something that was saying Leo rising to me when you were talking. Um,
okay.
I don't know why. I
I
think it was
mean,
the multiple platforms and the storytelling, but maybe okay, when I'm looking at her, there's a
yeah.
certain level of I know I'm a bad fucking bitch. Like I just
Oh,
know.
yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
there's a very I don't it's beyond confidence. Bordering no, that's not nice. Yeah, there's this beyond confidence. And I
Hmm.
think she has a very lioness energy, not look, but lioness energy about her. So I'm
Okay.
gonna say Leo rising for her.
Do you know, as you were speaking, I was like, Catwoman. I keep hearing, like, in the face.
Mm.
And then when you said lioness, like, obviously, this the family tree between lions and cats and everything, they, kind of all come from similar
So
genes, should I say. So I was just like, Catwoman, lioness. I mean, you do have a point with that innate knowing that I am sexy.
okay. Mm.
But then, hmm, I think about this when I think about Marilyn Monroe, like I know that she had Venus in Aries. And like I was thinking about that on the rising, could this also apply for the rising? But then I
Yeah.
don't get that like look, but more about the feeling of that confidence, that innate knowing that I am sexy. However,
Mm.
ever Jupiter though, which deals with our beliefs, deals with the internal side of us, the things
Mm-hmm.
that I mean, yes, it's the traveler, but it's also the wanderlust side of us. And I think that is quite explored in what she does. So would I be wild to say Sag rising? But I really see what you mean
Okay.
about the Leo. Let me say Sag rising. I'm going to go with that. But no, then physique wise, it doesn't make sense.
Mm, mm.
She is quite slender. She's serious about, I mean, I don't know how active she is, but to have the body that she has, I know genetics play a role, but you can tell that she probably has a routine.
Oh, do you think
Oh,
so?
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I think that looks natural. Oh, wait, hang on, look at her arms. She's a natural skinny babe, though.
I think she's got the natural physique, but to maintain that,
You
or she's
think?
probably
Are you going
wearing
to
a
say
bra.
Virgo?
I was literally, when I said routine, the words Virgo slipped out my mouth.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I might say Virgo, especially now. Like that could actually tie in with the storytelling. Like, there's always a story, even with like her album that I was blasting out last year.
Mm,
There was something about love in Lagos. There was something about her last heartbreak song. Like, there's so many different things that mirror each other, but also marry each other together. And that's why I think storytelling is quite heavy in her work, in the artistry she produces. But yeah, I'm gonna say Virgo rising. I think routine, even though she might have the natural physique, I think she definitely gives the vibe that she could be conscious about what she eats. Um,
mm.
Not in a way that she's conscious of, you know, health conscious. That's what I want to put it. I want to say health conscious about what she's putting in her body, how she's
Mm.
nurturing and feeding her body. Takes wellness. I think she takes wellness. Even if you look at her skin, like if you look at her body, you can tell that yes, this is natural genetics, but maintenance is going on here. And I think that,
Okay.
yeah,
Would you
let's.
not maybe say that's also her moon coming into play? Maybe a Virgo moon? I mean, I don't, just from the routine wellness aspect, and maybe that being something that not just nurtures her physically, but maybe emotionally.
Yeah, that could be a real. That could honestly, and wholeheartedly, as you said that, I thought about you know, how you were on the
Mm.
reverse side of me when I said Taurus rising for tens. I feel like she could also be a dreamy Pisces moon because a lot of her artwork
Interesting.
is dreamy. Like, I remember her first,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of the cover work she produces is very dreamy, very like playful. But
Mm.
then also
Mm.
the alternative side to Virgo, which is like the balancer, right, is Pisces, which also could deal with routines that, support the metaphysical
Yeah.
and the spiritual alignment of one's body through food, through, routines, through practices, wellness practices. So I think I could lean towards, I think I'm going to say Pisces with Lilith. You spoke something about this sick confidence. It's to know the little rah rah skirt she wears on stage.
Mm.
People are kind of dragging her about what her outfits look like, but she's
Okay.
playful. She's adventurous with her fashion and her style. Adventurous with fashion and her style.
You
Oh god.
see? You see? Were you between Aries and Sag for that?
Initially, I started off on the trail of Lilith, and then of adventurous with fashion and style took me to Venus, and
Yeah,
I lost
yeah.
train of thought.
I was
And
literally thinking Lilith and Venus being in the same when you were talking.
I'm so confused. But Venus, I want to say, daring to be bold, sensual, but like flirtatious. I think she is flirtatious in the things that she wears. Like, her clothing serenades her. Her clothing is quite like, it's a work of art in the sense that, and it's also, I don't want to say it's an act of defiance, but given the society that she comes from, being in Africa where it's largely condemned for women to be adventurous, daring with the clothing, wearing
Hmm.
short things, wearing provocative clothing, I want to say that it gives me, in as much as I want to say Venus and Taurus, I'm going to say Venus and Gemini.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, but I see why you are leaning towards the fire.
I am only because of like it was a conversation we had a long time ago, and I can't even remember who it was about. But you sent me their post, and it was about they had a Venus in Aries, and aesthetically, I think there's a similarity between them. However, just from quickly
Oh,
looking at the color palette, I think her color palette is more Sag.
I know who you. I know who you're talking about. I know who you're
Yeah,
talking about.
I can see it, but I can't remember her name. Um,
Ooh, the color palette.
Yeah. I'm gonna go
Child.
Sag. I'm gonna say Sag.
Let me stand in my truth and stick with Gemini. But oh my gosh, no, but maybe Lilith is in Gemini and Venus is something different. Oh Lord. Because like I said, going back to the conversations about the society that she's from, yes, she's a Gen Z, but still there are, there are elders in that society who feel like they can dictate what a woman should dress like and look like. So
Mm.
the act of defiance I will put down to Lilith and Gemini, but you swayed my mind with this Venus and Aries. I
Oh,
can't
really?
even lie.
Okay.
You swayed my mind. I'm
Do you see
so
the
torn.
similarities between the people?
Yes, I do. I
Yeah.
do.
Okay. Okay.
I see the fire in that though. Do you
Yeah.
think she can have Venus in Leo?
Or maybe. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I lean towards Sag, but yeah.
Let me say Leo. Okay,
Yeah.
let's look at their charts because I'm trying to see what it's saying.
Okay.
Ooh, Homegirl's got a Gemini stellium. Do you know what? I kid you not, friend. I was going to change that moon to I. I know it's going to sound like I'm making like BS here, but when I spoke about Taurus and Scorpio axis, I swear to you, I was going to change that moon to Scorpio. I'm
She's
not
got
going
a
to lie.
Scorpio moon.
The
Scorpio
North
moon.
Node, the Moon, Pluto.
Mm.
Oh my gosh. Hmm. So Lilith is where in Gemini.
Okay.
Do you know what? There's something about like I see some of those qualities within myself about, I want you to see me for my mind as opposed to my body and my alluringness.
Yeah.
And that's why I said that. But
Yes.
I'm surprised she doesn't have Cancer placements.
Yeah. Me too. She's all Gemini basically, and a
It's
bit of
literally
Scorpio.
Gemini and Scorpio.
That Sag energy that we picked on is just her Jupiter. So she's got, yeah, Moon in Scorpio, Venus,
Hmm.
Mercury, Sun, and Lilith in Gemini, and then Mars in Virgo.
There's no time of birth, I think, for Iris Star, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe I am. I'm just going to go and check. Yeah, I think both of them didn't have a time of birth, but given the location that she was born in, the alleged location, which is Cotonou in Benin, I think it's quite interesting that a lot of her place or planets are at the bottom part of her chart. But I mean, I said I was wrong with the Venus. Close, not too far away, just one more degree away, and I would have been home dry. Her Venus is in Cancer at the 29th degree.
Yeah. You were also close for the Lilith because she's 29 degrees of Pisces.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
was
so you were
I?
very. Hang on. No, I made that up. Sorry. You said Lilith in Gemini. Oh.
Um, but I was going to go for Lilith in Aries, wasn't
You
I?
did, yeah, you did say Aries. Yeah. Because we spoke about Sag and Aries. Has she got any Sag? She's just Pluto in Sag. She's got no Sag placements. What? Apart from Pluto.
Her Sun, Saturn, North Node, and Mercury is in Gemini. Then she's got Mars, Jupiter, Venus. It's that Venus, I swear, that Venus just needs to move over one more degree. But I can see why you say, when you mentioned the sexiness, like the confidence.
But again, I think I've made the same error twice in picking
Mhm.
up the moon rather than the rising because she's got a Leo moon, not a Leo rising. So I've
Mm.
done that twice now.
But could that say, obviously, this is not extensive research, but you know how I stand on this hill that we
Yeah.
embody the energy of our moon sign more consciously than we even, might even recognize. And I think perhaps this is
True.
pointing to that very fact that comes through very strong in our, appearances in the external
Mm,
world and
mm.
how we operate in the world. But I think it's, yeah, I mean, we can look at a few Synastry placements because it's been a lot in this episode, but I think it's also been interesting to see like where we've been, like you mentioned, where you've seen the moon as the rising, and
Mm.
I've seen certain placements and I'm like, no, 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 I'm definitely sure. But Lilith is always tripping me up.
When you look at their charts together,
Mm-hmm.
like that 10th house is packed for both of them. I mean, actually, but it's not confirmed because there's no time of birth.
Mm.
So I can't say that.
I mean, if we look at it more from the signs, as opposed to the house, the 10th house, in as much as it deals with the legacy, and I think there is a legacy around their sisterhood that they've established and created.
Yeah.
I think the 10th house also speaks to, more than anything, the public facing parts of our chart that shine the brightest, I think, in the external world. And I remember you sent me a post one day on Instagram about one lady on Instagram. She was speaking about the MC and that being our
Yeah.
personal branding, right? And that personal imprint we leave in the world.
Mm.
And although we can't necessarily see their MCs are exactly in Gemini, there is a meeting of a lot of like public facing energy. Sun conjunct Saturn. I mean, typically the sun represents the father, right? And you know how we spoke about the big sister.
Mm.
But also Saturn, some people say it deals with the father too, or authority figures. But I think the sun in conjunction with Saturn could also explain the mirroring of that big sister, little sister vibe that I pick up on. I really do believe that that comes through really strong in their connection. It's like they're siblings. I can't describe it. Like it's not weird, but it's weird because I know they're not birth siblings. But people often comment this.
Aries Saturn.
Mm-hmm. Conjunct the sun.
Interesting because Thames is older. But yet the Saturn for me gives that more aging or mature energy.
But you know what? I could also see that in the reverse. And I say this because the North Node is still quite, I want to say he's still quite young energy at the same time. And hear me out when I say young. Hear me out when I say young. She is still developing and moving and evolving and transforming into that node consistently. It's not something that's like she's reached a point of evolution and there she's at. And I think with Saturn guiding that force, I think in that aspect for her, yes, I see that. But I think also the son, when I think about it in Synastry, I think about the father. Like I really am taken back to the father that yes, it can work in, typically it is that authoritative, it is that mature energy we see coming through. But I still am taken back to the fact that, the sun, Thames sun, is shining, it's an illuminary, it's shining quite bright. Obviously, some people might say it could be burning, combustible to some extent. But I feel like here the sun is overriding Saturn. I'm not going to lie, like in their connection. But I also hear what you're saying. So,
I do wonder though if because it's in Gemini, if maybe there is there's a mutual flow of teaching between them. Like I want to say if Aria maybe encourages Thames to be more in on media spaces. Like you've sent me a couple of like their TikToks together. I wonder if that more comes from that Saturn in Gemini saying, "Come on, let's like shine together," and then the sun's like, "Oh
yes,
yeah, okay."
because you know what? Funny that you say this, how you said it, because it was actually in Thames' show where she brought out Iris Star. And you know how you're saying that the teachable nature, the duality of those twins, that Gemini sun, the Gemini zodiac sign, the mutable. Well, yes, it's mutable in nature, it's airy, it's flighty, but there's also duality. And I think, how you're saying that you see that in, come on, let's do this, let's come out
Yeah.
in the public sphere a bit more, let's show more of the personality. I also feel that in the reverse, because Thames brought out Ira Star on that, in New York, and that was for a show that she was doing solo. But to cut this hot seat question short, what's one thing that looking at both pairs, what's one thing that you've enjoyed unpacking? Be it SZA and Keke Palmer or Iris Star on Thames, what's one thing that you've enjoyed unpacking through spotting the sisterhood and synastry today?
I don't think it's about the placements as such. I think what has been enjoyable is feeling like the joy and the fun in both pairs. like yeah, both pairs and their relationships, there's just this like I keep going back to the word playfulness. I feel between both Sza and Keke Palmer, and then Thames and
Mhm.
Ari Star. There's just something very like just living and enjoying life, and it's the beauty I think of seeing that within a pair, especially amongst women, especially amongst Black women, I think is something that is, yeah, a sight to be seen. Because I think often in media spaces, we're not portrayed in such positive ways. So to see
Yes.
these like pairings, like really just feel so comfortable around one another, and you can tell that they're just being their authentic selves and they're just living their life. That to me is like a beautiful thing to witness. So yeah,
I
that's
like
what I
that.
would say. Yeah, what about yourself?
I like that. I mean, for myself, to summarize and not, take up much more time, because guys, I can yap. I really loved just what you said, how we felt the energy come alive. Yes, we did look at some aspects, but outside of the aspects, outside of the specific signs, I think it's the feeling of the energy and how that mirrors up with the things, the clips, the pictures, the videos that we've seen. Um,
Mm,
and I think that's what I enjoyed
yeah.
through all of this. That, these ladies, these women, Black women in their own lanes, in similar lanes actually to the people that were having these Synastry conversations about, they found a way to meet in the middle, and rather than look at each other as enemies or competitors, they're able to
Mm,
embrace with love, compassion, sisterhood, and being a friend above all. I think for me, the friendship in sisterhood, the friendship in being a sister, um,
yeah.
it's quite a pinnacle call to, sisterhood as a whole. So I think those would be that would be my thing to contribute and add to what you've just said.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that and for even asking that question. Because yeah, it's just nice for us, I think, to just acknowledge Black women who are doing something so great publicly. So yeah, that was a beautiful, beautiful conversation. Thank you all for listening into our 10th episode. This is like a massive milestone for us, reaching 10 episodes. So thank you for being here, being part of our journey, supporting us. Please consider following us on Substack, reading all of our latest posts and what we've got going on also on YouTube. Everything can be accessed through our link tree. And we would love to hear your thoughts, your beautiful stories on sisterhood as a whole, but also if there's any thoughts that you had around synastry and how sisterhood is a part of that fabric. So, yeah, as for now, we will wish you bye bye and speak to you soon.